I greet you all this very, very beautiful Sunday morning. I'm sorry I'm starting a bit late. I've been a bit down. Sometimes the whole opposition gets to you, you know. It's not easy to be like the only person standing against a current that is so powerful and is just blowing you. You see, this is not the road show where I can just come and chat about celebrities and what's going on in the entertainment industries. This is a show where I have to come and stand before you and speak the truth. And the problem with the truth is, it's not always palatable for everyone. And very often it stands like a barrier between you and all you've been taught and all your knowledge and understanding. Very often. So sometimes I just have like a wave of opposition. Are we on?
Yes, we are.
So please bear with me. I'm going to go live on the air and talk, you know, especially when you're coming out and you just realize that, first of all my celebrity friends, all have left me. Everybody has pulled back. No, I don't want to be. And it just shows how transient our friendship originally was. Many of them know that they'll come in the corner and come and tell me that this thing you are saying, I know it's right, but you know I can't be seen supporting you. And you see, if I don't do this, I'm messing the world up for your children. Because if Nigeria continues getting poorer, which it is, by February next year, we're billed to take over from India that has 1.3 billion citizens. And we're billed to become the nation with the most people living in extreme poverty. The statistics are there, worldpoverty.io. Check it out now on your Google. And stand with me to make this change, or fall with them into poverty. Because it will happen if we don't take action. So I do plead with you to forgive me if I came in a little late today, because I was in no hurry to come and stand again and be cursed and insulted for saying things the way they are. Look at someone beside you this morning and tell them the truth hurts. Good morning, Nigeria. Welcome to Praise Jam. I'm Daddy Freeze, and it's been a bit of a difficult one because, like I said earlier on, it took me quite a while. I was just driving in my car, taking my time, not in any particular hurry to get here. You know, because it's hard sometimes to stand before a congregation and preach the truth and get cursed for it, get insulted for it, get trolled for it. Sometimes I'm a human being. Sometimes, not often, but sometimes it does get to me. Especially, you see, if I did something wrong and y'all were making fun of me, I'd understand that, okay, I messed up in the first place. But when I come with you, or I come at you with the truth, and then you still insult me for it, it could get a bit painful. And what I'm doing, a lot of people don't understand. If we do not put the biblical truth or enforce the biblical truth, we're ruining Christianity for our children. And we don't want to see that happen. It is Praise Jam on a Sunday morning. I was having a conversation earlier on with a lady who was blaming the first church for starting the tithing trend. She said, a lot of people, because of that wrong step they took, a lot of people are now caught up in the tithing, what is it called? Hula balu. And we, this generation of Christians, are suffering for what they did. And I said, no. You need to understand the mindset of the church 600 years after Jesus died. We need to put ourselves into that church. And by doing so, we need to put ourselves into 2017. And I'll explain why. I was walking down the street yesterday when I saw a guy. I had a bit of a tummy upset. And the guy was begging me, please, don't give me money. Just buy me food. The first thing I looked at him was, scammo. You want to scam me? You think I'm stupid? So obviously I don't have any food. So I'll be forced to give you 200 naira to go and buy food, which you collect from me and think you're sharp. I didn't give him the money. But as I was going, my conscience started pricking me. And Matthew 25:32 started ringing in my head. That is Jesus who's hungry. He's asked you for money you've refused to give. Then the world, on the other hand, started talking into my ear. You know, there are people in Ibadan that have given and disappeared. Maybe for all you know, he's a juju guy. For all you know, he's a scammer. I was stuck in between the world and giving. And by the time I was able to be a referee between the world and giving, the boy had gone. So I found myself in an age-old dilemma. Giving. How do you give? When they take tithing away, how do you give? Someone said to me, Daddy Freeze, I agree with you on this tithing thing. I don't even pay tithe. But how are you now going to get people to start giving to the less privileged? And it dawned on me in 2017 what happened in 600. That is 600 AD. It dawned on me now in 2017 what happened in 600 BC. People were not ready to give. I don't know who it is that I'm speaking to. People were not ready to give. It is Praise Jam on a Sunday morning. I'm going to take a quick break and I'll be back at you in a moment. I was having a lot of problem with the YouTube feed. By the way, we're live on YouTube. So I wanted to, now all of a sudden it's stabilized. Okay, so let me go right back. And as soon as I start preaching again, it will start breaking the connection. Please, guys, help me beg Swift Network. Let them give us network so I can preach. All right, it is Praise Jam on a Sunday morning. It's breaking again. Maybe I should move this thing. Can I put it here? Will this help? Okay, I think there's some stability now. Play the commercial so we can come right back.
We'll be paying for 40 now.
Okay, so we don't have any commercials now.
We don't have commercials.
Do we have any hypes? Did you take the hype script?
No, sir, I didn't.
Check, please.
Okay.
Very, very important. Ah, don't joke with that too. All right, guys. I guess the internet is working now properly. I hate those breaks in transmission. It just messes with my head. All right, guys, welcome. It is Praise Jam on a Sunday morning, and the sermon today is titled Truth Hurts. And I was trying to explain earlier on about tithing. I had an argument with a friend of mine, a lady, who said tithing was introduced into the system as a form of corruption. And I told her, I said, you know what? For you to understand how tithing was introduced in 600, you have to enter the mind of the church then. And how do you enter the mind of the church then? By going back into the mind of the church now. You see, a lot of people have stopped giving their 10% to the church, but that doesn't mean they're giving anything to charity. And there is a genuine problem of going to hell as Christians. Yes, the grace doctrine says you're blessed. Whatever you do, you're blessed, blessed, blessed. But Jesus Christ himself in Matthew 25:41 says, if you see me hungry and you don't give me food, you're going to hell. So I'm in a position where I'm trying to marry the grace doctrine with the hell doctrine if you don't give to the needy. I don't know who it is that I'm speaking to this morning. I am desperately trying to marry the hell doctrine and the grace doctrine. And I have come to the realization that if you do not give, you could be a candidate for hellfire. Now, the priests in those days had a huge problem trying to convince people to give. Praise Jam on a Sunday morning. Give me a music. Guys, how are you seeing the internet? Is really frustrating me. I'm not able to achieve anything today. How are you guys seeing the internet? Is it working for you guys? I need to restart the internet. Please bear with me, because it's giving me so much stress here. So it might cut you off for a few moments. Don't worry, after this, I've reset all the systems. So after this, I reset all the systems. After this, we're not going to have any problems anymore, I hope. I'm just trying to set everything up properly so we won't go back and forth. Guys, just bear with me for a second. We're going somewhere very important. It's okay in Germany? Okay. All right. I guess I'll just work with whatever we have. I honestly apologize for this. It's just hard to work when the streaming is not good. Is the streaming okay now? Grace over law. How is the streaming now? Guys, don't curse Joshua. There's some guy on the Facebook feed just insulting me. He's just there insulting me.
Are we good to go?
Yeah, you want to play commercials?
Yeah, I want to play commercials. So.
But why didn't you play commercials at 45?
No, it's 40, 55 we have.
You're supposed to play at 40.
Yes, at 40.
Let's wait till 40 now.
Okay.
The devil is a liar, but we continue nonetheless. All right, it is Praise Jam on a Sunday morning. A bit of a network connection that I've sorted out apparently is, I think it's from YouTube that the issue emanated, and a bit from Instagram. Facebook seems to be stable. So for those of you who are not seeing me well on Instagram or YouTube, you might as well just move to Facebook. It's facebook.com/CoolFM969. For those of you who are seeing me very well on Instagram and YouTube, let's continue. So earlier on, I was speaking about the truth about Christ and the truth about giving. And I spoke about how tithing was introduced 600 years after the death and resurrection of Jesus into the new church. And like I said, I was speaking to someone who said it was introduced as an act of corruption, and I tried to correct the person by saying no, it wasn't introduced as an act of corruption. It was introduced, if you get into the mindset of the people then, by understanding the mindset of the people now, because right now a lot of people have realized that tithing is not part of the grace doctrine for modern day Christians, and a lot of people have stopped tithing and they just eat 100% of their salaries or their incomes. Now there's great danger in that. I understand completely why tithing was introduced 600 years after the death and resurrection of Jesus, and let me explain it to you. They needed money to help the poor. They needed money to spread the gospel. They needed money for so many things. And no one was willingly giving anyone any money. So they had to try the wring your arm and let me get money out of you approach. You're gonna go to hell if you disobey God. Tithing, they brought the book of Malachi 3:8-10. That was supposed to be like a reinforcement for tithing. And it carries a curse. Let's read the Bible together. Malachi 3:8-10. And it carries a blessing too. Now, let me speak to you a little about the history of the Bible. The Bible was written in ancient Hebrew and Aramaic. The first language it evolved into was Greek. First it went into a more modern version of Hebrew, then Greek, then Latin, then English. So at that stage, while he was moving from language to language, only scholars of the languages in which it was written could understand the Bible. It happened with the priests in the Orthodox Church at the point where it was in Latin, where for you to be a priest, you had to go and study and understand Latin so you could teach the Bible. And not many people understood Latin, so they relied on the priests to interpret the Bible to them. I don't know who's with me this morning. The connection seems a lot more stable now. So it was at a point where there was a consensus. You know what? Let's go into tithing and let's see how we can get money for all these things. And they gave them the blessing and the curse of Malachi. Will a man rob God? Oh, you have robbed me in tithe and offering. Wow. So it's very easy to sell the doctrine because your child is sick, you've been robbing God. Your car breaks down, there were no cars then. Your horse breaks down, you've been robbing God. The devourer, which by the way then was the locust, was known in Hebrew. The word for the locust is what evolved into what we have today as the devourer. So the devourer was not what we describe today. It was the locust. The locust came and devoured your crops. So the devourer came upon you because ye were not paying tithe. tithe. So it was easy to work with the minds of the people back then. It was a noble cause. They needed money to do the work of God. The people were poor. They needed to feed them. They needed food, because tithing back then was food. They needed a lot of things. So it worked. But you see, no matter how noble a cause is, no matter how intelligent the notion behind it is, if it is birthed in corruption, it is bound to be destroyed by corruption. I know who's with me this morning. No matter how noble an intention is, if it is birthed in corruption, it is bound to be destroyed by corruption. So what evolved into the modern day tithing, where men of God now have private jets, while the congregation that contributes the tithe are jumping from buses to Okadas, it's a little bit off what the original intention was for tithe to be introduced back into the church. So what am I preaching with all this? What I'm saying is, let's learn to give, so they don't have to sell us a doctrine, knowing that naturally we don't like to give. So we're being sold a doctrine in corruption that is only going to end up in more corruption. I don't know who's with me this morning. A lot of people might not understand what I'm saying, so I'm going to take this one step further. I'm going to go into the new priesthood. The priesthood established for Jesus in the book of Hebrews. I don't know who's familiar with the book of Hebrews. We're going to go there right now to establish the new priesthood, so you guys can all understand. If you've got a Bible, go with me to the book of Hebrews. Hebrews, I would have loved to read the entire Hebrews 7, but I'm just going to stick with 5 and 6 and try to explain. Hebrews 7, 5. Let's start from there. If you've got a Bible, go with me right there. Now, and I'm going to try to explain this to you using the Old and the New Testament as reference points, so you'd understand what Hebrews exactly was trying to teach. Okay? So, if we read the New International Version, it says, "Now, the law required the descendants of Levi who became priests to collect a tenth from the people, that is, from their fellow Israelites, even though they are descended from Abraham. Now this man, however, they're talking about Jesus now, did not trace his descent from Levi, yet he collected they're talking about Melchizedek now, I beg your pardon. Did not trace his descent from Levi, yet collected a tenth from Abraham and blessed him who had the promise." It doesn't make sense to a lot of people. What the modern priesthood is trying to use this to establish is Melchizedek collected tithe and Jesus came under the order of Melchizedek. So Jesus Christ, if you're a priest under Jesus, you have the right to collect tithe. No, let me explain this to you very well. You see, Jesus died and resurrected. And then 12 good-looking guys strolling around Israel telling the Israelis that we're the new priests. You are the new priests. How? Now, if you go with me to the book of Numbers, we're going to the beginning of the Bible now. I'm going to explain something to you. If you go with me to the book of Numbers 18, and we're reading from 8. The Lord gave these further instructions to Aaron. I myself have put you in charge of all the holy offerings brought to me by the people of Israel. I've given all the consecrated offerings to you and your sons as your permanent share. You are allotted the portion of the most holy offerings that is not burnt in the fire. This portion of the most holy offering, including the grain offerings, sin offerings, and guilt offerings, will be most holy, and it belongs to you and your sons. You must eat it as a holy offering. All males may eat of it, and you must treat it as most holy. This is God establishing his priesthood during the time of Moses with Moses' brother Aaron. I don't know who's with me this morning. That's the priesthood established. You know what? We're going to go on a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be right at you. We have a few bills to pay, and I can see the tension is mounting. Yeah, we're going somewhere this morning. The devil is a liar. All right, real quick, we'll be back at you in a moment. Don't touch it.
I was thinking you were going to do till 55, so we'll take the 2 breaks at once.
Let this one go now.
Okay,
Let me see what we have. Spans, okay, yeah. Teasers, fantastic. I'll come back immediately after.
Okay, after this.
Okay, what do we have here? Cody, Uzomatic. Okay, we'll do those later. Guys, how is it going? I can see that it's more stable now, and the wicked ones that were insulting us have left. Okay, so the message is mounting now. Please always give me music under my voice when I'm talking. So we're going back now. Woo, where's my drink? Where's my drink? I needed some energy. Fire, fire, fire. All right, guys, are you good? Let's do this. All right. So, in the book of Numbers, if you read from 18, verse 8, the Lord was establishing his priesthood with Aaron, who was Moses' brother. And if you now go to 21, it says clearly, as for the tribe of Levi, your relatives, I will compensate them for their service in the tabernacle. Instead of an allotment of land, I will give them the tithes from the entire land of Israel. Now, the Holy of Holies among the offering was given to Aaron and his sons. That's the priesthood. Now the tithe of the grain and all went to Levi. Now it goes on to explain this a little further. It says, instead of an allotment of land, meaning that the Levites had no right to own any land in Israel. That is why the tithe was for them to eat. I'm trying to establish the old priesthood under Aaron and the old Levitical priesthood. I don't know who's with me. Now, if you go to 22, this is a clear instruction from God to the priest. This is not Malachi. And by the way, Malachi was considered a lesser prophet. He's among the 12 minor prophets. You could read about it in your spare time. I'm not going to waste your time with that now. And if you consider Moses, I want to quickly go to the Bible. Go with me right now real quick to Exodus 33:11. The Bible is clear. It says, and the Lord will speak to Moses face to face as a man speaketh unto his friend. Now, I want you to close your eyes for a minute and think of your best friend. Or just a good friend of yours. Not an acquaintance, not someone you meet at work every day and you are acquainted with because of the nature of your profession. I'm talking about your friend. That is how God and Moses' relationship was. Whatever came from Moses until Jesus came directly from God. Because there is nowhere else in the Bible where it is written that Malachi and God sat down one-on-one and were gisting as friends. Who's with me? So to take the Malachi inspiration of the Bible and put it against the one of Moses, to me, is fraudulent. Malachi cannot override Moses. The only person that can override Moses is Jesus. I can see a bit of confusion right now. People are holding back a bit. Oh, wow. Normally when I'm preaching and it's getting to the people, I watch them on Instagram and Facebook. You see the likes coming in. But when you say something that's a bit confusing, they stop by and they look, what are you trying to say? I'll take that again. Exodus 33:11 describes Moses' relationship with God. So close was this relationship with God that God and Moses spoke like friends. Not like acquaintances, not like business partners, not like neighbors, like friends. Let me tell you how I talk to my paddies. Oh boy, now, wow. How far now? You hear this gist? Maybe not in the Nigerian context of friendship, but definitely in the Israeli context of friendship. They spoke as friends. God will appear, and that same Bible says, anybody that God appears to must die. If you have seen the face of God, you must die. And there's quite a bit of a contradiction with this, because sometimes they say when Moses is going to see God, doesn't look in his face. But for Moses to be the only prophet to see God face to face and chat with him as a friend, I've got to take the words of Moses a little bit more serious than the words of Malachi. Who's with me this morning? Look at someone beside you and tell them, Moses over Malachi. All day, here a day. Now, if you go to Numbers 18:25, the Lord told Moses, oh, I want to read that part of the Bible. The Lord told his paddy, the Lord told his guy. If we go back to Exodus 33:11, it's established that Moses was God's guy, his friend. So if we come back to Numbers, which came side by side with Exodus, but a little bit after, because Exodus is like moving out literally of Egypt. 25, the Lord told Moses. So I'm going to change the Bible a bit in that context. I'll read it to you. The Lord told his friend Moses, give these instructions to the Levites. When you receive from the people of Israel the tithe I have assigned as your allotment, give a tenth of the tithe you receive, a tithe of the tithe, to the Lord as a sacred offering. Now, how do they give this to the Lord? They don't know the Lord's address, and they don't have a jet plane that goes to heaven. So how do they give to the Lord? Now we're going back to the contract God had with Aaron. We're going back to 8 now. The Lord gave these further instructions to Aaron. I myself have put you in charge of all the holy offerings. Am I making sense this morning? The offerings meant to go to the Lord were going to Aaron. I'm going somewhere with this, and I need you to if you don't understand anything at this point and you're watching on social media, ask. Because once I've established this, I'm going to go further, and I don't want to come back here. So I'm going to go on a quick break while you people online can quickly just type 1 or 2 questions so I can help guide you back just in case we've missed it. I'm trying to establish 2 priesthoods now. The priesthood under the order of Aaron and the priesthood under the order of Levi. We'll be back in a moment. Don't touch it. Hi guys, Umar. Salam alaikum. Ayo adidayo. John 1:18. No one has seen God at any time. Oh, so you want to go and doubt? Hey, Nigerian people. You want to say, okay, so let's get a Bible now, or Tipex. Let's Tipex Exodus 33:11. Let's Tipex it. Where Moses saw God. Let's Tipex it out of the Bible. Shebi, you are saying that John now overrides it. So let's bite. You have Tipex. I will Tipex it on my phone like this. Hey, Nigerian people. They have enforced this doctrine inside your brain that nothing else seems to make sense to you apart from their doctrine. So you are defending it with things that don't even make sense. Okay. So real quick, thank you very much, Irene. Thank you so much for that illustration. I want to see if there are any questions. Okay, seems like everybody's understanding so far. Hi, Grace. Malachi was written by Ezra. Yes, I know, but I just used his name Malachi figuratively. Please don't be angry. I just was going through that. And by the way, there's a bit of a doubt over who exactly wrote Malachi. But I don't want to talk about that today. It's a bit confusing. We're already confused, so let's not confuse ourselves further. You see, even if you read something as basic as Wikipedia, it will tell you that it was between Haggai and Zechariah. There was a prophet called Malachi, and the book originally was attributed to him, but it's just like the book of Hebrews, which I'm going to come to, wasn't written by Paul. But I'm going to come to that. But let me try not to confuse us more. It's already confusing enough. Battery's low. Just want to go back on air when I switch to the radio. The radio is going to be on waiting for you. The Bible isn't confusing. You're right, grace over law. But switching in between doctrines and trying to bring you back is confusing. Because first of all, I have to explain to you, which I'm trying to stage by stage. And I might not be as successful as I'll hope to be with the explanation. That's why I'm begging you guys. This Moses of a man never existed. Somebody said, stop running your mouth like a tap. Go and open your own church and preach it from the altar. You see, this is what is locking us inside where we are. Must it be preached from an altar? Which altar did the disciples preach from? Guys, don't be lost though. Anyway, let's continue. So I have like 10 straight minutes now, so I'm going to go in hard. All right, it is Praise Jam on a Sunday morning. For those of you who are just tuning in, I was explaining the priesthood of Aaron and the priesthood of Levi and trying to tell the difference in between both priesthoods. Now, if you go back to Numbers 18:8, you could see where the Lord gave instructions to Aaron, putting him in charge of the holy offering. Now, what is the holy offering? If you go to 21, it says only the Levites As for the tribe of Levi, your relatives, I've compensated them with the tithe of all Israel. Now, if you go a little further, it says, God told Moses, give the instruction to the Levites, you'll receive from the people of Israel the tithe I've assigned as your allotment. Now give a tenth of the tithe you receive, a tithe of the tithe, to the Lord as a sacred offering. So that sacred offering is what the Lord was talking about in 8. I have put you in charge of the sacred offering. That's the Aaron. So it's not like they were giving the offering to God. They were giving it to Aaron. 10% of the offering went to the priesthood, while the tithe went to the Levites. Now, what am I trying to do with all this? Let's go to the book of Hebrews now. First of all, who wrote Hebrews? Let's try this. Let's just go to Google. Who wrote the book of Hebrews? Let's put it on Google. You put it on your Google, wherever it is. Now, some people say Paul the Apostle. However, there's been a dilemma from as early as 300 AD. And the people that were suggested were Clement of Rome, Barnabas, Paul the Apostle. Now, some even suggested Luke the Evangelist. Some suggested Apollos the Greek. And even Priscilla. Although no concrete author is named, the original King James Version of the Bible titled the work The Epistle of Paul the Apostle to the Hebrews. But as far as 300 years after Jesus died, that was quite close, people are already confused on who wrote Hebrews. So if there's a confusion that Clementine, a Roman, Apollos, a Greek, and some cool-looking dudes who were neither sons of Aaron or descendants of Levi were going around claiming priesthood, they were met with quite a bit of opposition. You'll agree. Numbers explains the priesthood. If you have any problem, if you go to, let's quickly go right now to the book of Nehemiah 10:38. Nehemiah 10:38. A priest descended from Aaron is to accompany the Levites when they receive tithe, and they're to take 10% of the tithe to the storehouse. Exactly as you saw it in Numbers is exactly how it was reproduced in Nehemiah. I'm going somewhere with this. So it is a clear fact that all the tithe went to the Levites, and 10% of the tithe went to the house of Aaron, the sons of Aaron, more like. So that was the priesthood, and they were known as the priests. All of a sudden now, one Roman called Clementine, one Greek called Apollos, and 12 guys coming to tell us that one guy from the house of Judah are now the priests. It's confusing. Especially to the Berean Christians, who the Bible describes as noble, because they went an extra mile to confirm whatever was told to them in the scripture. So I can imagine some Bereans gathering around the disciples and saying, brethren, this thing you are saying, how are you priests? In Nehemiah, it is told to us that the order of the priesthood is from Aaron and Levi. It is well confirmed in the book of Numbers, where God gave Aaron an instruction, and God also spoke to Moses, his friend, telling Moses what should be done and how the priest should be. So which one is you people's own now? God did not mention, first of all, any Gentiles, any Greeks, and definitely no Romans when it came to the priesthood. Now, to calm them down and explain the new priesthood, we are going together back again to where we started from, the book of Hebrews, chapter 7, 5 and 6. Are you with me this morning? Or have I at any point lost anyone along the way? I need to know before I advance. Guys, quickly, I'm looking at the feedback on social media right now. It's Daddy Freeze on Instagram, and it's facebook.com/coolfm969 on Facebook. So I'm looking. Okay, keep up the good work from Germany. I see Hans Irene on Instagram. Good morning. Okay, consensus. We're all on the same page. Nobody is not understanding anything. Now I'm going to move forward. You see, from next year when I teach, I am going to encourage questions. And a lot of people wonder why. If you've got a Bible, go with me right now to the book of Luke. Okay? Luke 2:41 says, every year Jesus' parents went to Jerusalem for the festival of the Passover. When he was 12 years old, they went up to the festival according to the custom. Now, when his parents were returning, Jesus stayed behind in Jerusalem. They began to look for him, and they didn't find him. After 3 days, that's 46. Luke 2:46. After 3 days, they found him in the temple court, sitting among the teachers, listening to them and asking questions. If we truly are under the priesthood of Jesus, we should be able to listen to the teachers and ask them questions. Not be Jesus we they follow. Remember those wristbands we used to wear at one point? WWJD. What will Jesus do? Jesus asked questions. So one man standing on an altar lording over you is not from Jesus. Sorry. It's not from Jesus. And let nobody tell you to go to Sunday school to ask questions. Ask where you are. If there's any issue bothering you, do what Jesus did. Listen, then ask. Who's with me this morning? So, let's now go to Hebrews chapter 7, verse 5 and 6. Hebrews 7, 5. So we're going there right now. Now, we're going back to speaking about the law. Why? Because I established the law from Numbers and from Nehemiah. Now, the law requires the descendants of Levi who became priests to collect a tenth from the people, well explained in the book of Numbers. Yet, this man, however, did not trace his descent from Levi. He collected a tenth from Abraham and blessed him who had promised. Are they trying to establish tithing? No. Do you know why? Because after that, when they established Jesus' priesthood, they never said anywhere in the entire Bible where Jesus, under his new priesthood, collected tithe. So look at someone beside you. It's not about tithe. It's about establishing the priesthood. Because, hi, I'm Apollos, I'm Greek. Hi, I'm Clementine, I'm Roman. Some even say Luke was a Gentile. And we are the priest. Who are you people? Where is which priesthood? Did God not say the priesthood belongs to Aaron and Levi? No, we are not taking. So they were telling these as the establishment of the new priesthood. I don't know if there's someone who is not understanding. And I'm going to take you all the way from the beginning now. Hebrews 7:1. This Melchizedek was king of Salem and priest of the Most High God. They're establishing what? Melchizedek's priesthood. Now, they're taking away Melchizedek. And they're trying to show you that Melchizedek was a priest. And he was not under the priesthood of Aaron, nor under the priesthood of Levi. But he was a priest. He met Abraham returning from the defeat of the kings and blessed Abraham. And Abraham gave him a tenth. The Amplified Version says a tenth of the spoils of the war. First, the name Melchizedek means king of righteousness. Then also king of Salem means king of peace. Without father or mother, without genealogy, without beginning of days or end of life, resembling unto the Son of God. He remains a priest forever. He remains what? A priest forever. Just think how great he was. I'm reading from 4 now. Even the patriarch Abraham gave him a tenth of the plunder. That is from the spoils of war. Now, the law requires the descendants of Levi who became priests to collect tithe from the people. They're trying to show you now. They're bringing in the Levitical priesthood now. That is, from their fellow Israelites, even though they are descendants from Abraham. This man, however, did not trace his descent from Levi, yet he collected a tenth from Abraham and blessed him who had promise. What are they trying to say here? Only the priests were allowed to collect tithe. Only. The Levitical priests and the priests from Aaron. No one else. So what they were trying to say was that Melchizedek, though he wasn't from either Aaron or Levi, still collected tithe. We're going to go on a quick break, and when we come back, I'll be rounding this off. God bless you this morning. Yeah, hello? Yeah. Okay, open the door for someone. Ben Cosmos, whoever the devil it is that sent you here, cannot win. I'm making you hate Cool FM. Let me ask you a question, Ben Cosmos. Of all your pastors who have come to defend their doctrine of tithing, how many of them have given you back-to-back biblical explanation from the Old and the New Testament, establishing it properly? How many? And you're fighting me? Obviously, you're fighting the truth. You're not fighting me. And if you successfully get me off Cool FM, what have you done? You've successfully gotten the truth. You see, I'm asking you to ask questions. If you have any question, ask me. If I cannot answer you in truth, then you can take it to Cool FM and say, Freeze is lying to us. Everything I've explained, I've taken my time to go into the Bible and read the Old, read the New, and even taking you to Google, just in case what I'm telling you is such a big lie, it won't be on Google to support everything else I'm teaching. So, I understand you have a problem with change. I understand you have a problem with the way things are moving. But please, listen to me first. Then if I'm not making any sense, feel free to question, feel free to raise your objections. Just please do it with decency. That's what I'll implore of you. Raise your issues, ask your questions, but do with decency. Okay, let's run a poll right now. Before we go live on the air. How many of you don't want me on Cool FM again? Just like if you want me on Cool FM, say yes. Preaching on Sunday. If you don't want me, say no. Let's count the yeses and the nos so we can at least move on. So if you guys say no, then from next week maybe somebody else will come and preach to you guys. So please just put in it, just spend 5 minutes. Let's count. Yes or no. On Instagram, please guys, if you want me to continue preaching to you, let's have a yes. If you don't want me to, let's have a no. Let's be fair. Maybe people actually don't want me to preach. I be my brother. Maybe they really don't want me. Maybe I'm just so annoying and stupid. So let's just put it up to vote. It seems like his yes coming in. Oh. Raise your objections. Oh, yes, please raise your objections. And let me be honest with you. If I don't understand, I will tell you I don't understand. I'm honest enough to say this particular part is a bit confusing. I was in a debate the other day. You know what? Let's go live on the air. It is 96.9 Cool FM, and we're still on Praise Jam, and the truth is bitter. The truth will set you free, and I'm talking about the truth this morning. And I'm trying to establish the new priesthood under the order of Melchizedek. So, like I was saying, it's so frustrating when there are these breaks in transmission. By the time I come back, I've forgotten my exact line of thought, so I have to just start beating around the bush for a few seconds until I find myself back on the rails. Anyway, if you've got a Bible, we're reading from the book of Hebrews, and I'm presently on Hebrews 7. Now, if you read Hebrews 7:3, the concluding part, it says, he remains a priest forever. They're talking about Melchizedek now. And he goes on just before that to say, resembling the Son of God. So it is fair, under any ordinance, to compare Jesus with Melchizedek. It's okay, it's fair, very fair. Because Hebrews chapter 7, verse 3 says, Melchizedek resembles the Son of God, and he remains a priest forever. Now, my only question is, if Melchizedek is still a priest, if he remains a priest forever, that means Melchizedek is a priest now. So what happens to Jesus? That's the part where I find a bit confusing. I'm a human being, and like you, I have the right to be confused. You're trying to establish the priesthood of Jesus, who came from Let me explain this to you. From Aaron came the descendants of his sons. When Aaron died, his sons took over. The house of Levi, the Levites. Jesus handed over to the disciples. Now, if Melchizedek was a priest and is a priest forever, where does it really fit Jesus in? I know a lot of people are too busy trying to link it with tithe for them to actually sit down and look at this particular question I'm asking. Now moving further, it says, let's go a bit down. If perfection could be attained through the Levitical priesthood, and indeed the law given to the people established in that priesthood, why was there need for another priest to come, one in the order of Melchizedek? So meaning that if you paid your tithe and your sin offering and your drink offering and your burnt offering and all those things, you still could not attain perfection. For you, Bisola or Samuel or Tunde or Uchenna, to obtain perfection, you have to go through the priest that came through the order of Melchizedek, not in the order of Aaron. I'm reading from Hebrews 7:11 now, and I'm moving to 12, and it says, for when the priesthood is changed, the law must also be changed. He of whom these things are said belonged to a different tribe, and no one from that tribe has ever served at the altar. Jesus came from the tribe of Judah, and no one from the tribe of Judah ever served under any altar, because Judah didn't come from Aaron, and Judah didn't come from Levi. Judah and Levi are both tribes in Israel because they're brothers. Judah and Levi, yeah, I got it right. Now if we go to 13 now, he of whom these things are said belonged to a different tribe, and no one from that tribe has ever served at the altar. For it is clear that our Lord descended from Judah. And in regard to the tribe, Moses said nothing about priests. Oh, they are going back to Moses. I thought I was the only one that went back to Moses being the friend of God. Why didn't they go to Malachi? Why didn't they establish this priesthood through Malachi? Look at someone beside you and tell them, Moses no be Malachi mate. Malachi no fit override Moses. Because even the disciples, when they were establishing the new priesthood, they went back to Moses. Because it didn't start in Nehemiah, it didn't start in Malachi, it started in Moses and in Aaron. Who's with me this morning? I'll take 14 again. For it is clear that our Lord descended from Judah, and in regard to the tribe, Moses said nothing about priests. That is why I spent nearly 30 minutes reading Numbers 18 to you, to understand the priesthood. And in Hebrews now, no one spoke about Moses saying anything would come from Judah. And if we go to 15, it says, and what we have said is even more clear. If another priest like Melchizedek appears, one who has become a priest not on the basis of a regulation as to his ancestry, but on the basis of the power of an indestructible life. For it is declared, you are a priest forever, in the order of Melchizedek. The former regulation is set aside because it is weak. They use another word that I don't like to use, and useless. And useless. You know what? Let's take Hebrews 7:18 from different Bible verses. Hebrews 7:18. Different Bible interpretations. Okay? So, New International Version says it was weak and useless. New Living Translation says it was weak and useless. English Standard Version says because of its weakness and uselessness. Berean Study Bible says it was weak and useless. Berean Literal Bible says weakness and uselessness. American Standard Bible says weakness and uselessness. King James says weakness and unprofitableness thereof. So paying tithe according to Melchizedek, to Levi and Aaron, is unprofitable. You want to establish doctrines? Let's all establish doctrines. Who's with me? I'll take this further. Holman's Christian Bible says weak and unprofitable. The old priesthood. New Heart English says weak and useless. Jubilee Bible says weakness and unprofitableness of it. So all the Bibles, all are saying the same thing. All. The old priesthood is useless and unprofitable. So anybody that comes up to you and says Malachi 3:8-10, tell them that it is useless and unprofitable to pay tithe under Malachi. Who's with me this morning? Let's go back to the Bible as I start winding down to officially sign off. If you go to 21, Hebrews 7:21, but he became an oath. He became a priest with an oath when God said to him, the Lord has sworn and will not change his mind. You are a priest forever. Because of this oath, Jesus became the guarantor of a better covenant. Malachi is thrown out the door. Bring ye tithe to the storehouse, so that there may be meat. Useless covenant, old, thrown out. It's unprofitable. Oh, what have I been reading to you? The 6 and 7 books of Moses? I'm asking, what have I been reading to you? I've been reading the Bible. And it's right there. If you spend less time insulting me and more time studying, you will see that every single thing that I'm teaching you is there in the Bible for your perusal at any time you find convenient. So moving on, and we end with this Bible verse, Hebrews 7:26. Such a high priest truly meets our needs. One who is holy, blameless, pure, set apart from sinners, exalted above the heavens. Unlike the other high priests, he does not need to offer sacrifices day after day. No more sacrifices. First for his own sins and then for the sins of the people. He sacrificed for their sins once and for all when he offered himself. For the law appoints as high priest men in all their weakness, but the oath which came after the law appointed the Son who had been made perfect forever. It is Praise Jam on a Sunday morning. And today I've taught you everything you need to know as a Christian. And I'm going to tell you something. Under this new perfect, holy, blameless, pure priesthood, We have the high priest himself going by the name of Jesus. And this high priest never collected tithe. He handed over his priesthood to the disciples, who also never, ever, 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 ever collected tithe. And some people would tell you, out of their speculations and emotions and sentimental teachings, that what time was there for them to collect tithe? That they were running up and down and they were being killed. If there was time for them to remind women not to preach in church, if there was time for them to collect offering and share the offering equally among everyone, just like was clearly written in the book of Acts chapter 4, 32 down, then I think there was time enough to speak about tithing. And if they didn't, it means it either didn't exist or was absolutely unnecessary for the body of Christ. Finally, right now, I know my teachings again are going to be disputed by people who are more concerned about how they're going to raise funds for their next private jet or school that their congregation will not attend or some other thing. So they're going to send their followers after me to shut me up with everything except a Bible verse. They're going to try to shut down my Instagram, do this, do that. And LD the other day the rapper LD got a lot of bashing for daring to say, come at Daddy Freeze with the Bible. Don't come with hacking accounts. Don't come with insults. Don't come with threat to his life. Don't just come with a verse. Daddy Freeze has come. I've read at least 30 minutes of Bible today. If small me, who was probably in the loins of my father when many of the priests today started their ministry, can raise these questions and back them up with the Bible, why can't you ensure you ask your priests to teach you from this same Bible? Why? I've lost so many of my friends.
Yeah, I can hear you.
The only people that talk to me, for instance, are my woman. I thank God for her in my life. Imagine the depression if I didn't have a woman in my life. A lot of business I've lost. Very few people want to be associated with me today. Why? For telling the truth. And if any day I find out that I've been preaching a lie, I will come before you humbly and declare that what I thought was a lie. But I'm 99.9% sure that that day is never going to come because I'm teaching you from the Bible. So take a peek into the frustration of my personal life. Simply because I present you the truth that can save Nigeria from poverty. There's a very big church somewhere in Lekki. The pastor cursed me, and I forgave him. I hold no grudges. And I was driving past there because it's the quickest way to get to Spa. And I saw that there was a factory beside the church that has been bought, and they wrote the name of the church on the factory, and they started breaking it down. I'm like, wow, this thing people did in Ibadan, you have brought it to Lagos. You're pulling down factories to erect churches. No wonder you guys don't like me. Until we start building factories, we start building homes for the homeless, we start building schools to educate the poor, we start building hospitals to take care of them, church will not save us from the poverty that's looming. And neither will tithing, because it doesn't exist under the new covenant, and it's useless and unprofitable under the old covenant. God bless you guys. I love you all. I'm officially opening up my phone lines. I will try to stay as much as possible today on the phone to talk to you. So please feel free to give me a call. You could type the phone numbers on Instagram and on Facebook. It's 0127100969, 0127110969, 0127122969, and 012713969. God bless you. I need to quickly grab a drink. Help me make it loud. Let me get to the toilet.
Okay.
And let me come right back. Sorry?
I can play the adverts, yeah?
Yeah, quickly play the advert.
Alright, sir.
Are you a monitoring spirit? Oh, wait, Joseph, okay. What are you doing?
It's not about what we sell, but how it brightens your life. That's why we ensure excellent service and quality products, because you should live well. So choose trust and quality to live the good life. UDollar, you live well.
Have you got a taste for the Niger style of entertainment like this?
Ogoski, my guy.
Yeah, baby.
Wow, wow, wow. They're growing, no?
Yeah.
You have one pimple's too fatty.
Yes,
Golo.
Well, we can do better than make you listen. Watch Wazobia Max, UHF.
Are you good?
Exciting.
All right, guys. I'm back.
It's funny.
Woo!
It has something for everyone. And the
Please take the number to call in 0127100969, 0127110969, 0127122969, and 012713 969.
Enjoy too much calls and data every time you recharge with Simply recharge with star 220 star pin hash to get 10 times your recharge value. Available to new and existing subscribers.
It's more wise for a businessman to build a church than a factory. Oh, yes, it is. Because you're not going to pay taxes and you're going to get 10% of everybody else's money. Fab Mama 4, God bless you, darling. Drink Coke and continue. Everybody knows I like to drink Coke. I don't know. I loved Coke so much as a child. I used to drink a bottle a day. I'm not sure it's very good for you, but it's a fact. Churches can no, they cannot. And as long as they keep taking up space where businesses should be, they're actually probably throwing us into poverty. 012710 969 012711 969 012712 969 and 012713 969. I'm going to take a few calls today. Normally I just take 2 or 3, but today, because I spoke on a very, very strong topic, I want to encourage people to ask questions. But you see, if you call and say, Daddy Free, stop lying to the people, you've thrown me off, but you tell me stop lying. Do you understand? Or work your approach. I'm going to announce this on the radio before I start taking calls. Watch your approach. Because there's a way you talk to me, I'll just cut the phone. Then the essence of your question will now not be met. All right, it is 96.9 Cool FM, Praise Jam on a Sunday morning. I want to take as many phone calls as possible. I want to encourage you guys to call us. Let's go back to the book of Luke chapter 2. And I'm reading from 45. When they did not find him, they went back to Jerusalem to look for him. After 3 days, they found him in the temple, sitting among the teachers, listening to them and asking them questions. Jesus asked questions. So if you can't ask questions, you're not following in the light of your Savior, your new high priest, under the order of Melchizedek. You're not following his teaching. But please, don't call me up and say, Daddy Freeze, you're a liar. Why did you say this? I'll cut your call. Let me just beg you before I will cut your call. Any question you want to ask, no matter what the question is, just hello, this is my question. Anything that sounds like hate or insult, I'm dealing with too much. I'll just cut your call. I won't say anything to you. I'll just, you just not hear me again. The next caller will just be, his voice will be on. So feel free. I encourage you to ask any question. I encourage you to raise any objection. But please, learn how to talk. A lot of people don't know how to do that. So, okay, we're moving on forward right about now. The numbers again, 2710969, 2711969, 2712969, and 2713969. The first call coming through. Hello? Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hi, how are you this morning? Good morning.
I'm fine. I'm so good. In fact, I'm not calling to ask you questions.
What happened? Are you there? Oh.
Truth from the Bible. And God will continue to bless you.
Amen.
Speaking that truth to people. I appreciate it because I read Bible a lot, and everything you said is according to what is in the Bible. God will continue to deal with that spirit. We continue to tell people the truth.
Amen.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you and your loving preaching. Goodbye and have a good day.
And you too. Thank you very much and God bless you. Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Yes, good morning, sir. How are you this morning?
I want to speak with Daddy Freeze.
Yes, he's right here. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to say keep up the good work. I'm calling from Ibadan.
Woo!
Yeah, we're calling from Ibadan, and we've been passing on the message. I work ago in one Redeemed church. I put some money inside my safe, like for the next day on Monday, like I was going to get some stuff for myself. But I don't know what got into me. Like probably it was the music or the piano on the background. Like, you know, they used to have this kind of emotional, like playing on background. So somehow, before the service ended, I went outside to pick the money inside my safe, and I don't know how everything happened. Until the second day, I was looking for the money. I already gifted the money, like that was about 80,000 naira that I wanted to use to buy stuff for myself and my family, just somehow. So I think we have to check on the Nollywood piano that goes on background. I think it's to catch Mugun. What they are trying to do is to catch people's emotions.
All right. I've noted your point, and God bless you. Continue preaching the truth, please. The more of us that start preaching the love, you see, a lot of people are saying, Daddy Freeze, is it only tithe and this that you preach about? Why don't you preach about other things? You see, until we set the foundation for Christianity and let people realize that it's not about making money or giving money. Christianity is about love.
I want to tell you, sir, people are actually getting liberated. Even in the corners of Ibadan now, like people are getting liberated every day. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. God bless you too. All right, we're going to move to, that was a very valid point. They play piano and you don't know and you go and give them money. That's his new one. Hello?
Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
How are you, Daddy Freeze?
Felix, how are you this morning?
I'm very well, thank you. Keep on the good job, please, Daddy Freeze.
Thank you very much.
I would like to tell you that people like when someone will stand in front of them and say to you, tomorrow as you're going out, you buy a new car, even when they don't have a job, even when they don't have money in their account. As you are going out tomorrow, as you are giving into this church, and you are going out tomorrow, someone will bless you with 200,000 naira. You will buy a car, you will buy a... That is, they are lying to you. Instead of them telling you to walk and have faith, God will bless you. But they know you don't have a job. They keep prophesying into your life. You don't have the savings. They keep prophesying into your life. And they love those people that lie to them. But you, that are preaching the truth, that you are saying the fact, they keep on hating you. See, and that is the problem we have in this country today. We hate the people that tell us the truth. We don't even want to hear the truth at all. And a man was cursing you. There is nobody can curse you because you are saying the truth. You know, a man calling himself a man of God, cursing other person. Is that what Jesus Christ did? Is that what they are supposed to be in church? Is that what they are teaching their members? Please, I want you to know that people are listening. People are taking care. People are supporting you. You are doing a fantastic job. And let me just use this opportunity to say a big happy birthday shout out to one of our members, Lara, from Free the People Movement. God continue to bless you, that phrase.
God bless you too, Felix. Thank you so much for the call. I want to quickly say something real quick right now. I want to read a Bible verse for you. It's not too long, but it's also not too short, so bear with me. From the New Testament, the book of 2 Timothy chapter 4. In the presence of God, I'm starting from 1. In the presence of God and Christ Jesus, who will judge the living and the dead, and in the view of his appearing and his kingdom, I give you this charge. Preach the word. 1. Be prepared in season and out of season. Preparedness. 1. Preach. 2. Preparedness. Correct. Rebuke. I'm coming here to correct an age-old notion that stands on a false foundation. Rebuke and encourage. I'm here to rebuke those who are lying to you. And I'm here to encourage you to stand strong in your faith and let no man shake you. And he goes on to say, with great patience, because you will rebuke and they will not listen. So you have to be patient. You know when I started preaching this? About 2 years ago now. Everybody just thinks it all started with that Linda Ikeji interview. No. And let me tell you a story about that interview. Tope Olowoniyan wanted me to come and do a game show on Linda Ikeji. So I went there to do a game show. And while we were there were some things we were waiting for that weren't ready. So Tope said, let me just even interview you. That's the interview that went around the world. God just ordained it. He just drove me there. The purpose why I went there was put aside. And up till today, that game show, we're still yet to do it. I'm waiting for them to call me so we can do it. Because the interview just seems to have taken over everywhere. So there was a reason why that interview went out at the time it went out and through the medium with which it went out. All I believe is it was the working of God. Now back to this Bible verse I'm reading. He says, correct, rebuke, and encourage with great patience. Because no matter how much you rebuke some people, they will not listen. No matter how much you correct some people with the Bible, they will not listen. And some people who are afraid, if you encourage them, they'll still run back to where they are used to. My mother, there's a girl I asked, why do you pay tithe? My mom said, if you don't pay tithe, who is your mom? Did your mom write the Bible? I'm here to tell you what the disciples, what the law and everything said, and you're telling me your mom. Is your mom a pastor? First of all, no. Just the fact that she's your mom and she's telling you out of motherly advice. Motherly advice now has turned to doctrine. And he goes on to say, with careful instruction, if you watch how I teach, I don't just tell you things. I try to break it down, stage by stage. Do you understand this stage? Can we move to the next stage? Careful instruction. And he goes on to say, for the time will come when people will not put up with sound doctrine. Like that gentleman that was insulting me on Facebook a few minutes ago. They will not put up with sound doctrine. Instead, the Bible says, to suit their own desires. Now, here's where I do not blame the pastors. Here's where I blame you. The Bible says the people will gather around them a great number of teachers to say what their itching ears want to hear. So really, it's not the pastor's fault. You're the ones gathering them, and you're making them tell you what you want to hear. You want to hear, despite the fact that you do not have a job, and despite the fact that you've not had a job in 3 years, you want to hear that you're going to build a house this year. You want to hear it. They say, prophesy into my life, man of God. Now, the real man of God that wants to preach to you a sound doctrine is going hungry. And his mates that are preaching what your tickling ears want to hear are driving Benz. Very soon, even the sound doctrine man is going to start preaching you a Benz driving doctrine. The Bible goes on in 2 Timothy chapter 4. I'm reading from 3 down now. For the time will come when people will not put up with sound doctrine. Instead, to suit their own desires, they will gather around them a great number of teachers to say what their itching ears want to hear. They will turn their ears away from the truth and turn aside to myths. That's why someone will tell you that if you don't pay tithe, there is a curse on you. It's a myth. If you don't pay tithe, things will be tight. It's a myth. No biblical backing whatsoever for Christianity. People that don't pay tithe, there's one major pastor. He said that those people that don't pay tithe are unhappy and miserable. Me, I want to be miserable like Dangote. I want to be miserable like Bill Gates. Who else wants to be miserable here? I want to be miserable like, what's that one's name? Mark Zuckerberg. I want to be miserable like Warren Buffett. I want to be miserable like that Allison guy that's number 5 in the world. That's the kind of miserable I'm looking for. Who wants to be miserable this morning? You want to tell me that Aliko Dangote is miserable and you are happy? Because of Aliko Dangote, they will change the meaning of miserable. Somebody that is controlling the whole of... He's probably the richest black man alive. And he doesn't pay tithe to any church. Let's start with that. If we don't know what Bill Gates are doing, I can guarantee you that Aliko Dangote does not pay tithe to any church. If he does, he gives to the poor, as his religion depicts him to do. You heard all of them. They're all myths. And the Bible is clear here in the book of 2 Timothy chapter 4. They will turn their ears away from the truth and aside to myth. But you, I'm talking to you now, keep your head in all situation. Endure the hardship. Do the work of an evangelist. Discharge all duties of your ministry. I'm here despite the hate, despite the odds, despite the curses, despite the threats, despite everything, to discharge the duties of my ministry. I implore you to do the same. Thank you so much for listening to Praise Jam this Sunday morning. I do bless you, and I pray the Lord will keep you, guide you, guard you, and protect you, not just now, but always. I'm going to take 2 more calls as I officiate. 1 more call. 1 more. We don't have time. 1 more. Hello?
Hello, sir.
Hi, final caller.
My name is Mr. Leonard.
All right, Leonard, go ahead.
I'm calling from Olodia, Papa.
Okay, sir.
Can you imagine that I've been highly inspired by your teaching? And even before I heard your teaching, one day I just stood up for my church. Every day, Malachi chapter 3, verse 10. I just got angry and went home. That was like 3 years ago. But do you know that now, as a... Hello?
Yeah, I'm listening to you, sir.
Okay. Now, as a person, I went home that 3 years ago and I read that Malachi 3 verse 10. I started from verse 2. And I found out that they weren't talking to my congregation. They were talking to the priest. And then I had a second thought that, man, I have to study and show myself approved just like it.
Sorry. We don't have much time. I had to cut that call short. I do apologize. Goodbye, guys. God bless you and take care of yourself. See you next week. Commercials. All right, guys. Lovely hanging out with you. Hopefully, I'll see you guys very soon. I'll see you guys very soon. I bless you. I pray that God keeps you. And I love you all. Just please bear with me when I'm down, because sometimes the tribulations are great and the trials are many. God bless you. God bless you guys.